Hi everyone. What if I told you that in just a matter of seconds, one name suddenly took over the entire internet in the United States? No warning, no build-up, just an explosion of attention so powerful that millions of people were left asking the same question at the exact same time. What just happened? Yes, we're talking about none other than Park Jimin. And this time, it wasn't just another trending moment. It was something far bigger, far more intense, and far more mysterious than anyone expected. Because within minutes, no, within seconds, Jimin's name surged to the very top of US trending charts, dominating conversations across platforms like a digital shockwave. Fans were stunned. Casual viewers were confused. Even those who weren't familiar with him suddenly found themselves drawn into the frenzy. So what exactly caused this sudden explosion? Let's dive deep into the story that has left the entire world speechless. It all began quietly. There was no massive announcement, no major teaser campaign, no scheduled global event that would normally explain such a sudden spike in attention. For a moment, everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Out of nowhere, social media platforms began to light up. Thousands of posts turned into tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And before anyone could fully process what was happening, millions of mentions flooded timelines across the United States. Jimin trending. What did Jimin do? These phrases started appearing everywhere. It was as if the internet had collectively flipped a switch. Fans, known worldwide as ARMY, were among the first to notice the surge. At first, many thought it might be tied to a hidden update, a surprise appearance, or perhaps even a leak of new content. But as the trend continued to rise at an unstoppable pace, it became clear that this was something different, something bigger. The numbers didn't just climb, they skyrocketed. Within moments, Jimin wasn't just trending, he was dominating. In fact, multiple keywords related to him began occupying top spots simultaneously, pushing aside major news topics, global events, and even viral content that had been building for hours. This wasn't normal. This was a takeover. But here, where things get even more interesting, as people scrambled to figure out the cause, theories began to spread just as quickly as the trend itself. Some believed it was triggered by a resurfaced clip, one that showcased Jimin's undeniable charisma and talent. Others speculated that a previously unnoticed moment had suddenly gone viral, capturing the attention of a new wave of viewers. And then there were those who thought something even bigger was coming, a hidden announcement, a surprise project. Or perhaps a move that no one saw coming. The uncertainty only fueled the excitement. Meanwhile, outside of the fandom, confusion quickly turned into curiosity. Who is Jimin? Why is everyone talking about him? What made him trend this fast? These questions began circulating among users who had never followed BTS before. And just like that, a new audience was pulled into the spotlight. Because when something trends this fast, it doesn't stay contained, it spreads. What makes this moment truly remarkable isn't just the speed of the trend, but the scale of its impact. In the digital age, trends come and go. But very few have the power to completely dominate a region as massive and competitive as the United States. This is a space where global headlines, political news, entertainment giants, and viral sensations all compete for attention. And yet, in that moment, one name stood above them all: Jimin. So what's the shocking fact that left the world speechless? It's not just that he trended, it's how he did it, without a formal release, without a major event, without any traditional promotional push. This wasn't manufactured hype. This was pure influence. Experts in digital culture have long studied how trends form and spread. Typically, they require a trigger, something big enough to spark widespread interest. But in rare cases, a figure with enough global presence can become the trigger themselves. And that's exactly what happened here. Jimin didn't need a massive event. His name alone was enough. This moment also highlights something deeper about modern fandom culture. Fans today are more connected, more organized, and more powerful than ever before. They don't just follow trends, they create them. And when millions of people around the world share a single focus, even for a brief moment, the results can be overwhelming. It becomes a force, a digital wave. And in this case, that wave carried Jimin straight to the top. But beyond the numbers, beyond the charts, beyond the trending lists, There's something more human at the core of this story. Emotion, excitement, pride, curiosity, connection for many fans. Seeing Jimin dominate US trends wasn't just impressive. It was meaningful. It represented years of dedication, growth, and global recognition. It was proof that an artist who started from humble beginnings could now command attention on one of the world's biggest stages in an instant. As the hours passed, the trend didn't just fade away. It evolved. Discussions deepened, clips circulated, new fans joined the conversation, and the question shifted from why is Jimin trending to how is his influence this powerful? The answer may not be simple. It's a combination of talent, presence, timing, and an incredibly dedicated global fanbase. But perhaps the most important factor is something that can't be easily measured: impact. Jimin has built a connection with audiences that goes beyond music. It's emotional, personal, and deeply engaging. And when that kind of connection exists on a global scale, moments like this become possible. So, what happens next? That's the question everyone is asking now. Was this just a spontaneous surge, or is it a sign of something bigger on the horizon? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that moments like this rarely happen in isolation. They're often the beginning of something. For now, one thing is certain. In a world where attention is fleeting and trends change by the second, Jimin managed to do the impossible. He didn't just join the conversation. He became the conversation. And as millions continue to replay the moment, analyze the surge, and speculate about what's coming next, one thought remains at the center of it all. If this is what can happen in seconds, what could happen next? Stay tuned. And just when people thought the frenzy might start to slow down, something unexpected happened. The momentum didn't fade, it intensified. Across social media platforms, new clips, edits, and discussions began surfacing at an even faster rate. It was no longer just about the initial moment that sparked the trend. It had evolved into something much bigger, something almost unstoppable. Fans started revisiting iconic performances, emotional interviews, and unforgettable moments that defined Park Jimin as an artist. Each post seemed to add fuel to the fire, pulling more and more people into the conversation. And suddenly, it wasn't just about why he was trending. It became about everything he represents. One viral post in particular caught massive attention. It featured a short clip, simple yet powerful. No flashy edits, no dramatic effects, just Jimin being himself. And somehow that authenticity struck a chord with millions. Within minutes, the clip was shared across platforms, translated into multiple languages, and discussed by fans and non-fans alike. People weren't just watching, they were reacting emotionally. Comments flooded in. "I don't even follow K-pop, but this gave me chills. Now I understand why he's trending. How is he this powerful without even trying?" And perhaps the most telling comment of all, "This feels different." It was different. This wasn't a trend driven by controversy, drama, or shock value. It wasn't about a scandal or a headline designed to grab attention. It was organic, genuine, and that made it even more impactful. At the same time, media outlets began to take notice. Articles started appearing, each trying to explain the phenomenon unfolding in real time. Analysts attempted to break down the numbers, to understand how one individual could generate such an overwhelming level of engagement in such a short period. But even they struggled to fully capture what was happening. Because this wasn't just data, this was energy. Meanwhile, longtime fans of BTS began sharing their own perspectives. For them, this moment wasn't surprising, it was inevitable. They pointed to years of hard work, consistent excellence, and a deep emotional connection between Jimin and his audience. "This didn't happen overnight," one fan wrote. "This is the result of everything he's built over time." That perspective added another layer to the story. Because what looked like a sudden explosion from the outside was actually the culmination of years of growth. But just when things seemed to settle into a rhythm of admiration and analysis, another twist emerged. A new hashtag began climbing the charts, fast, relentless, and directly connected to Jimin. At first, it appeared subtle, just a variation of existing trends. But within minutes, it started gaining traction at an alarming rate, quickly rising through the ranks until it reached the top alongside his name. Now there were multiple trending topics, all centered around the same person. It was domination on another level. Speculation returned, stronger than ever. Was this coordinated? Was something about to be announced? Or was the internet simply reacting to something it couldn't fully explain? No one had a clear answer, and that uncertainty kept people watching. Refreshing, waiting, then came the global effect. What started in the United States didn't stay there. Other countries began to mirror the trend. Regions across Asia, Europe, and South America saw similar spikes, as if the momentum had crossed borders without resistance. It became a worldwide phenomenon, a digital ripple effect that turned into a tidal wave. And through it all, one thing remained constant: the focus. Jimin. Interestingly, as the trend expanded globally, the conversation began to shift again. Instead of asking what happened, people started asking, why does this matter? And that question opened the door to a deeper discussion. In an era where content is endless and attention spans are short, capturing the world's focus, even for a moment, is incredibly difficult. But holding it, that's nearly impossible. Yet somehow, Jimin was doing both. Experts began pointing out a key factor: consistency, not just in performance but in identity. Over the years, Park Jimin has built a reputation not only as a performer, but as someone who connects deeply with people. His expressions, his voice, his presence, they carry emotion in a way that resonates across cultures and languages. And in moments like this, that connection becomes visible on a massive scale. Another factor: timing. The digital world moves fast, but it also responds to subtle shifts, moments when people are ready to feel something, to connect with something meaningful. And somehow, whether by chance or instinct, this moment aligned perfectly with that need. As the hours turned into a full day, the trend still showed no signs of disappearing. Instead, it became a reference point. People started comparing it to previous viral moments, trying to measure its impact, its speed, its reach. And again, one conclusion kept emerging: this was different. Even those who had witnessed countless viral trends admitted it. There's something unusual about this, one commentator noted. It's not just the numbers, it's the reaction behind them. That reaction continued to grow. Fan art appeared, analysis videos were uploaded, discussion threads expanded into deep dives about Jimin's career, influence, and global reach. It was no longer just a moment, it was becoming a movement. But perhaps the most powerful part of this entire story is what didn't happen. There was no controversy, no negative narrative. No division, just pure attention driven by admiration and curiosity. In today's online landscape, that's incredibly rare, and maybe that's why it felt so impactful. Because for once, the internet wasn't reacting to chaos. It was reacting to connection. As we reach this point in the story, one thing becomes clear: this isn't just about trending. It's about influence in its purest form, the ability to capture attention, spark emotion, and bring millions of people together, without forcing it. So now the question evolves once again: not what happened, not why did it happen, but what does this mean for the future? Because if one moment, unplanned, unexpected, and entirely organic, can create this level of global impact, then what happens when the next moment comes? Will it be even bigger, even faster, even more powerful? Or perhaps this was just a glimpse, a preview of something greater on the horizon? One thing is certain: the world is watching. And whether you're a longtime fan or someone who just discovered his name today, you've now witnessed something rare. A moment where the internet paused, focused, and collectively turned its attention to one person. And that person was Jimin. But the story isn't over, not even close. Because in the ever-changing world of digital culture, moments like this don't just end, they echo, stay with us. And the echoes, they didn't fade, they multiplied. As the second wave of attention surged, something even more fascinating began to unfold. People weren't just reacting anymore, they were investigating. Threads appeared breaking down timelines to the exact second. Users analyzed when the first spike happened, who posted what, and how quickly the momentum spread. It was like watching a digital mystery being solved in real time. And yet, the deeper people looked, the more one truth stood out: there was no single trigger powerful enough to explain it all. Instead, what they found was something far more intriguing: a chain reaction. One post led to another, one reaction sparked 10 more, one clip turned into 1,000 variations. And at the center of it all remained Park Jimin. This is where the narrative took a dramatic turn, because suddenly the story wasn't about a moment. It was about momentum. Digital analysts began comparing the phenomenon to a perfect storm, a rare alignment of factors that, when combined, create an unstoppable surge. Timing, audience behavior, platform algorithms, and emotional resonance all collided at once. And when that happens, you don't just get a trend, you get a takeover. Meanwhile, something unexpected started happening behind the scenes. Content creators, some with millions of followers, began joining the conversation. Not because they were told to, not because they had to, but because they wanted to understand. They reacted to videos, they shared opinions. They asked their audiences the same question everyone else was asking. What is it about him? And every time that question was asked, more people searched, more people clicked, more people watched.